Hey there, welcome back again. It's Chrissy K. Rollins here. I'm just doing a little impromptu video here in my home office, continuing the conversation that we started at the last leadership circle around procrastination. So in my last video, I shared with you some of the reasons that we identified why we procrastinate. Why do you procrastinate? I want to know. Were they the same as that first video reasons? Go back and watch it if you haven't. But we talked about things how like maybe the action just isn't as much fun as not doing the action, or we might have predisposed thoughts around what the action is going to be like. So different things like that. Go over there and check out that video. But today's video, I wanted to share with you some of the things that came to mind that we shared as leaders at this last meeting on how we move past procrastination. Now, some of the ideas that we talked about were having a calendar or a to-do list, having a good tracking system. I learned years ago, this thing is not for holding every ounce of information. It is actually much better used as a tool for reminding myself where to go and find that information opposed to holding all the information. So I am a big fan of lists, writing out lists, things that need to be done, action items that need to be taken, and keeping a calendar I think is absolutely essential so that we can plan out everything that we need to do in order to move things forward, because sometimes just knowing that we have a deadline coming up can get us out of procrastination and into action. So having that list or having that like to-do list or that calendar is one of the ways that one of our leaders said that she stays on top of things and is absolutely necessary in order to get tasks taken care of. Another thing that we talked about is this idea that Stephen Covey introduced in one of his books. I don't remember exactly which one it was, but one of the other leaders had mentioned this as well. In Stephen Covey's book, he talks about our hierarchy of needs and being able to categorize priorities over urgencies, things that are priorities and things that are urgent versus things that are not a priority and not urgent. And you can just make a nice little cross graph on a piece of paper, put into each quadrant, priority, urgent, non-priority, non-urgent, list in those sections, and then you can see what lines up as being a priority and urgent and letting that be your top priority, and then saving those tasks that are not a priority or urgent to the side so that you don't end up procrastinating on those priority urgent steps and not taking action on the big things, but actually spending all of your time on the little things. So that is something else for you to explore as well. Do you use these things? Are you a calendar fan, a to-do list fan? Have you used this hierarchy of needs, the priority and urgency system? What determines things as a priority? We decided it's just your own personal preference. It's your own personal goals, what's important to you and your life vision, and what commitments you've already made. What commitments you have on the books already that you need to live into. Okay, so another thing that we identified as a way to move past it is that sometimes there is like a stimulus or a trigger or some kind of life-changing event that makes it absolutely necessary. You cannot procrastinate any longer. You're going to die if you don't change how you eat. You can't procrastinate any longer. We're going to cut off the power if you do not stop by and pay that bill today. You cannot go on as life as you know it. Life gets your attention in some way or another and tips the scales for you, and it moves you out of this procrastination state and into action. As one of the things that we identified is one of the things that will get us into action. Now, another thing that we identify kind of goes into like the calendar and the to-do list category, and it also kind of goes into the priority and urgency category as well, is time management. Learning how to manage your time. Again, you can use a calendar, you can do a daily calendar and assign certain tasks for certain amounts of time, and then challenge yourself to live into those things, right? I'm going to talk about that in just a minute. But this idea of time management, paying attention to how you are using your time. I know that this was a big eye-opener for me in my entrepreneurial journey, is when I realized I found myself saying very often, if I only had more time, if I just had more time to do this, or if I had more time to do that. And then I started to think to myself, well, what am I doing in the time that I do have? And I started to pay attention. And what I found was that when I did have that time to work, I procrastinated or got distracted, which is what we're going to talk about this week at the Leadership Circle. Distraction. They're kind of like procrastination. They kind of lead to procrastination sometimes, but they are another thing that we trip over continually on our entrepreneurial endeavors in past, and as we're trying to move our missions forward, is this idea of distractions coming up. Like, okay, I was going to go rock out this task, but instead I walked into the room and my dog had thrown up on the floor. So now I got to clean that up. Oh wait, and now there's dishes over here. Oh, now I got to start laundry because I just used these towels to clean up all this other stuff, right? So all these distractions, how do you manage those? How do you overcome those? How do you even begin to identify and become aware of those? We're going to talk about that all tomorrow at the next leadership circle. And we're going to be doing these leadership circles twice a month, the second and fourth Wednesday of the month from 11:30 to 1:30. So it's in that nice lunch time lunch break time frame. If you can make it to the whole thing, come. You're welcome to join the entire time. If you can't get there until noon, come at noon. If you need to leave by 1, leave by 1. Come for the whole thing, come for part of it. You can order a delicious lunch there. You can order a coffee drink there, or you don't have to order anything there. There's no fee to attend. This is just committed leaders coming together to have roundtable discussions that empower and uplift and inspire each of us and each other to keep our missions moving forward and taking consistent action. So you're welcome to come and join us, and we're going to just take one of these topics and do a deep dive into it every single meeting. We probably won't have a meeting on December 26th. Just a heads up on that. But other than that, second and fourth, and you can always reach out to me for more information as well. Make sure you have it all. Okay, so time management is a thing. So maybe if you are somebody who is struggling with this procrastination tripping point, then you can see how you can manage your time better, or start to pay attention to how you are spending your time and start to open your eyes as to what is really happening in those spaces, right? Same thing with money, same thing with support. If you're feeling like you need more, take a good, honest inventory of what you have already and how it is being used, because you may surprise yourself that your reasoning mind that likes to make up reasons as to why you do or don't do what you do or don't do, it will make up the story that you don't have enough time, when really there's a subconscious belief that's buried deep that's triggering that decision that you don't have enough time, even though if you take a step back and look at what's literally happening, you'll find there actually is ample time. Pretty fascinating, right? Okay, so another thing that helps you to move past procrastination, this is very commonly spoken about in leadership development courses and series and entrepreneurial endeavors. It's one of the first things you typically learn about whenever you are starting a business or starting to live forth a vision that you have for a business or a mission. And that is your why, or your mission statement. One of our leaders offered that what she does, and she encouraged all of us to do, and I really love this idea, is to make your own personal mission statement. Why are you doing what you're doing? Why? Now, I encourage my clients, and find that it works way better for myself, to come up with 3 whys. Why 3 whys? Because it matters. Most people's whys are kind of keeping them stuck. I know it's weird, but it really does. What can happen is that you can come up with this really great why, and then as life doesn't unfold to the way that you thought that it would, that why can start to become a reminder of how you're not there yet. And it can go from a motivating factor to another reason to procrastinate. However, if you're not in touch with your why, then you're not ever going to be able to pull yourself up and forward in those crucial moments where that is what's necessary to keep things going. So a why it really is what keeps me going. I am here for something beyond myself. So on the days that myself doesn't feel like playing and interacting, my why pulls me out of bed. My why pulls me to the computer. My why pulls me to these meetings. It is something that is beyond me, and it's bigger than me. So what I encourage you to do, if this why aspect is something that really speaks to you, or your own personal mission statement, I asked her to put together a little something so we have like a little template to follow. So once I get that, I will post that so that leadership circle members can get access to that if that's something of interest to you. But as far as your why, come up with 3 different whys. Why do you need 3 different whys? Because one of them is going to be a personal why. What is your reason? What is like your immediate reason? So one of my personal whys is to bring my husband home so that we can have more family time, so we can live life more on our terms, and we can spend the majority of our life together as a family and just supplement those little times where we're making income and coming together, right? So my why is very motivating for me. My why is very inspiring for me and for my family. However, other people can only get so excited about my why. So if I were to lead everything in my business with, hey, buy from me so that my husband can quit his job, you're not going to be all that inspired to support me. You might a little bit, but we can only get behind other people's visions and goals to a degree. So have your personal why, because that's very important. And then find a why that's bigger than you. So maybe just 2 whys. Find a why that's bigger than you. What is something that aligns with a bigger vision? So my immediate vision, my instant first world kind of experience of my why is to bring my husband home so we can have more quality family time, live life more on our terms, right? My bigger why is to make an impact in the world, to shift and change perspectives for women and for business owners, for those that have suffered past trauma and find themselves tripping over themselves in this life and that are hurting so bad on the inside. I am passionate about liberating these sweet, compassionate, big feeling souls to help them to better understand themselves, their power, help them to learn how to manage all this stuff that's happening inside of them so that life can be less overwhelming and more fulfilling. Now that really moves me, and it's something that other people can align their personal vision with. You know what, Chrissy? I want to bring my husband home too. I'm going to do it in this different way that's impacting the world in this other way. Now, whenever you have that why that aligns with a bigger vision, that's something other people can get on board with. Other leaders will come around you and want to support your mission. Even if they're not directly purchasing from you, they will refer to you. They will work out arrangements with you. I know plenty of real estate agents that will give a percentage of their sale to different nonprofits that really speak to their hearts. That is a great way to distinguish yourself as a leader and as a business amongst all the other businesses. And it also is a great way to spread your mission and your message in a way that other people can get behind it and get as excited about it and help you to move it forward. That's what I think this is all about. That's the power of community. So have that why. Have your own personal why, have that bigger why. Because that bigger why is going to get you going when the little why can't, and that little why is going to get you going when that bigger why can't. It's just for me, I found it very beneficial to have both. The other thing that we talked about for why or how we move past procrastinating is knowing yourself, what you will do and what works for you. I am a huge, huge fan of this particular aspect because this is one of the top reasons why people get hung up, especially on the entrepreneurial path, and exactly why I bring a much more simple and fresh perspective on how to build a business, how to structure a business, and to bring business strategy into bringing your vision into reality, into full fruition, is because we were not made to replicate what other people were doing. That's why we can only get ourselves to replicate actions to a degree. In order to really replicate the actions of others, we have to be fully aligned. We have to bring all of our energy, all of our truth in alignment with us. When we can align our full self with that action, the action is a natural side effect of our being state. So knowing who you are, and not just knowing who you think you are, but knowing who you really are, learning who you are, the true essence and core of who you are, will help you to understand why you are procrastinating on certain tasks and perhaps not others. But a lot of times, if you're trying to get yourself to do something that is not true to your nature, you're going to find yourself in a state of procrastination, or could often. So realizing who you are, rectifying and reconciling that gap between where you are and where you think you need to be so that you can move forward. And what that really leads me to is confidence, having confidence in your ability to execute a task. Now, some of these to-dos, some of these actions we have to do. We have to tell others what it is that we have to offer. We have to communicate with others about what it is that we're really wanting, right? Those have to happen. But how you do it and what way you do it can be true to who you are. So if you've only seen an example of an action taken in a way that doesn't line up with who you are, then shifting your perspective around yourself or shifting your perspective around that action so that you can better align with it is, to me, the key to unlocking that stuck momentum and getting into action. Now, I dissected action. I was very curious after so many years in the entrepreneurial realm. I mean, this is my 12th year in business, but around year 7, I got really curious. I was like, why is it that I'm still going and others aren't? Why is it that I'm still putting one foot in front of the other and keeping myself afloat? Not saying it's always been easy, but just saying, how come I can keep it going and others don't? And what I realized is that it all came down to action. Well, how come I take actions in certain times and other times I don't? And I got really curious about it and I dissected it, and I found that at the core of it is that it really comes down to confidence, or I guess like the outer component that is the precursor that the next thing that's going to happen is action. Action follows confidence. It follows confidence. So if you're procrastinating in a conscious way, there is a good chance that you are lacking confidence around that action, confidence in being able to take that action, confidence in where you're going to land on the other side of that action, confidence about what that action means about you, because really that's what it all comes down to. How do we relate to ourselves in all these scenarios? So understanding that, yes, there are practical steps that you can take to overcome procrastination. But what if you already know these things? What if you already know about a calendar and a to-do list, but you still can't seem to get going? What if you already know that that action isn't true to who you are, but you don't know any way around it, right? What if you already know that you need more confidence, you just can't figure out how to do it? What happens then? What happens when it's the action that you want to take? You got the calendar, you got the hierarchy of needs, you got that why, and you're still not doing it. I'm telling you this. It is because of confidence every single time. Teach confidence. We're going to interweave that into future discussions at the leadership circle. But it's not what I'm getting into today. So I just wanted to bring to you this other part of this procrastination discussion. Not only why we procrastinate, but how do we overcome that procrastination? And if I sparked any thoughts with you, I'd love to have you just drop a little comment below, give me some feedback. What's your experience with procrastination? What works for you to move past it? And do you ever hit that point where you're like, I know what to do and I'm still not doing it? What about that point? I'd love to continue this conversation. I'd love to have you join us with the distraction conversation that's going to be taking place tomorrow, downtown Clayton, Boulevard West, 11:30 to 1:30. Come and go as you please. We'll be in the back conference table. So just go into the coffee shop, head all the way to the back. You'll find us back there. And I look forward to seeing you there. All right, give me your comments below. Give me your thoughts. Share it with me and share this video with others. Go ahead and subscribe to my YouTube channel if you like and want to stay plugged into this kind of conversation, because I do want to bring it back over here to you. And yeah, I'll catch you next time. Thanks for watching. See you soon. Bye. Share this video with others.